Budawang School is located in Ulladulla on the south coast. We're a school for specific purposes, and specifically we cater for children aged from 4 to 20 years of age who have a severe or moderate intellectual disability. Lots of our children also have a physical disability, and some of our children also have a sensory disability. For example, one of our children is blind. Most other children in the community take physical activity for granted, but for our children, we really have to work hard to make sure that our children are physically active, and so we timetable it as part of our day. Some of our children travel to school in a taxi, and it takes them maybe 40 minutes to arrive. So by the time they get here, especially if they're only 4, 5, 6 years old, they really have some energy to expend, and so we encourage them to get out in the playground, use the equipment, use the trampoline. We encourage them to be active. We make sure that we're involved in things like the Premier Sporting Challenge so that we keep a record of the amount of activity that our children are doing. This is particularly important for our more immobile students. If they are unable to be active during the day, they don't sleep well at night. Depression becomes a real issue for them. They get pressure sores and those sorts of physical problems. But if we can get them out of their wheelchairs, even in a situation when they're on a trampoline, their whole life changes. And so for us, it's just a matter of making sure that our children at our school can enjoy the same benefits from being physically active as we do as a staff. We really like to go to the local facilities if we can. It means that the children from our setting are mixing with the community on a regular basis, and they're shown to be productive, able people in the community, so that we're not always talking about the child and their disability, we're talking about what they can do and the fun that they're having in that setting. Each of our students swims at least once a week, and each of our students has a special program that is individually developed for them. We try to ensure that each of our students has an adult working with them. That's not so much to take away their dependence, but to develop their interdependence. And we found that over the years their skills have developed greatly as a result of that sort of process. A lot of our helpers are volunteers, and they've come in contact with our students in the pool setting. They might see the teachers and the students working there, and they will say, we'd really love to join in that program, and then they come and work with us on a regular basis. So some of our volunteers are not highly skilled and they need direction, but they're enormously helpful in the program itself. We give them a set of cards so that it doesn't mean that the teacher has to spend a lot of time with each of the volunteers, but the volunteers know exactly what they have to do. It also means that the students are developing their skills in a sequential sort of manner, so that the skills that they're finishing off on one week, they'll be able to pick straight up from the week after.
Back up on the edge and how do you hop back in? Good boy.
Our students do lawn bowls for one afternoon each week. This program started off at the school as an active after-school program, and it's extended into the community setting now, so that we spend some of each of our week at the Mollymook Bowling Club. That program not only benefits the students in the skills that they're displaying, but it also benefits them in the social skills as they come into contact with a variety of different people in the community as well. It helps them to follow instructions, it helps them with their receptive and expressive language skills, and above all, I suppose, it develops their confidence to be able to take on a program when they leave school. And those post-school programs are vitally important to our students and their families. Well, the bike riding program's been going for several years now. We started off with a few bikes in our playground area, and then the skills of the students developed quite quickly to the stage where we were able to bike ride along some of our local bike paths, and that put us in contact with local community people. And from there, we found that people were donating bikes to our school, and we were able to develop a program so that each of our children had a custom-built bike, and that made an enormous difference. From there on, we were able to get some additional funds so that we built a bike path around our school. So now we're in a situation where we can have students riding within the school grounds, outside the school grounds on our purpose-built bike path, and in the community. The bike riding program itself is really important aspect of our literacy and numeracy program. We read signs in the community, we do a lot of our number work, distance work we do on the bikes. It's also part of the independent development of skills, everything ranging from putting the students' helmets on themselves, hopping on the bikes themselves, putting on their own sunscreen, making sure that they're reading street signs, those sorts of things. But some of our children are in wheelchairs, and so we need one-on-one assistance for those students so that they can access the bike riding program. And the whole concept has just grown so much faster and so much bigger than we ever could have expected. It's really become, I guess, the most important program in our school. Well, I think everybody faces challenges implementing physical activity programs at one point or another. Our children, for example, might not always want to be involved in a physical activity. We have some students who are really hesitant to get into the water in the beginning of the lesson, and so our teachers have to use all the skills and all the tricks that they can draw upon. But generally speaking, we usually try to set the students a goal. For example, we might say, we're going to give you 5 minutes before you have to come into the water, or okay, I understand that you don't want a bike ride now, but maybe if you just do 5 laps of the bike track. Usually if they've got a goal or a target, or if they can sit back and observe what other people are doing, most students want to come along and be part of the group, and that's what we find with our students. Having said that though, sometimes our students are just not up to it. They're physically unwell, or there might be something else going on in their day, and so we really work hard at never making the physical activity a chore. It's always something that the child chooses to do themselves. And our students don't get a lot of choice in their life, and so choosing whether or not to be involved in a physical activity is important for us. Remember also that we're trying to set in place attitudes that will last and endure for the rest of their life. So we want to make sure that the things that we're doing with our students are fun for them always. Because if they become tedious or if they become painful, they're not going to want to continue that when they do have a choice in their life.
Because TJ's here today, and Jerry's here today, and Jerry's here today. Everybody float.
Well, we're always searching for resources, and our community is extremely generous to us. We have 2 pieces of major equipment in our playground, and those 2 pieces of equipment have been selected specifically for the types of students that we have, so that they can develop some specific things like climbing stairs, climbing ladders, using slippery slides, making sure that they can crouch to go through tunnels, accessing a ramp, for example. We also have a trampoline in our playground, and that's used for all sorts of things. But the equipment side of our physical development program isn't the main aspect of it. I would say the main aspect is making sure that we've got an adult with each of our children, and that's expensive, I must say. So we access as much grant funding as we can. We make sure that we're involved in things like active after school, for example, where we can obtain some additional funding there. We get a grant from our local clubs. The CDS Clubs grant helps with our camp and some of the adventure activities that we do there. We also make sure that our staff are all properly trained in AusSwim and that they involve themselves in other coaching activities that go on around the state.
TJ's popped out.
Oh, that's okay. We'll send Liam with Loretta, and then we'll give.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Volunteers are an incredibly important part of our physical activity, so much so that our Every Student, Every School program was based around teaching other schools how to recruit and develop their volunteers. We have a volunteer workforce of 28 volunteers. Some people stay for the whole day and other people just come in and help out for an hour or so. But each of our volunteers enables our students to access the physical activity of their choice. So some of our students wouldn't be able to swim, for example, unless they had a person assisting them. They wouldn't be able to bike ride. They need somebody to help them with 10-pin bowling or lawn bowling, for example. We also do riding for the disabled, and of course volunteers are really important in that part of our program as well. If we had to replace them, our volunteers would be the most expensive resource that we have. And no matter what other equipment that we used, if we didn't have our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do. The thing is, though, that when people see us in the community and when they see how able our students are in the community members approach us and want to become part of the program, because it really is such a feel-good thing to make sure that you're improving the quality of life of a child with a disability.
I'm involved in swimming with the children, and with enough volunteers we're able to do one-on-one with the kids, which is really beneficial to them, because you can actually, instead of just minding some of them in the water, you can get the proper techniques happening of what's going to help them. One boy who was quadriplegic and couldn't do much in the water at all can kick and can actually turn himself over if he falls in. So that's like a real life-saving technique for him to have learnt, which wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have as many volunteers at the school. Another thing we do is bike riding. So the kids that are in wheelchairs get to more mobile, and we also have rides down to the one track down off Millard's Cottage, which is really nice for one of our seeing impaired children. He gets to hear the sounds of the water through the creek and smell the dirt and listen to all the birds. So that's really lovely. And I also run an after-school active program with some of the other children, which gives their parents a little bit more respite and gives the children an opportunity to do things out in the community. And that's really good because the kids are seen in the community and our community loves supporting our school, and it's just really nice because they always say hello to our children and our children feel really loved.
The benefits are just enormous. Our parents just love it when their kids are physically active during the day. They sleep better at night time, they wake up in a happier mood, they're better behaved during the day. The parents get to have some time to themselves, they can play with their siblings. You know, the benefits of teaching a child how to ride a tricycle, for example, means that suddenly they can be involved in activities that they were excluded from prior to that. Teaching a child how to play on play equipment in a park and how to interact appropriate with other children in the park. That can make the difference between a good day out for a family and a disaster. Making sure that children understand when they're in danger of overdoing it physically. That can make a big difference to our families as well. The other things I think are things that we take for granted as well. Things like when you're physically active, your serotonin levels are higher, which means that our children are less likely to suffer from depression. And depression is a real problem for people with a disability, especially when they can't voice their issues. So being able to get out in the community, meet other people, make sure that you're building up your serotonin levels, those sorts of things are really vital.
The benefits are twofold. It goes both ways. I have learnt from other colleagues and volunteers much more experienced than me just how important it is to listen to the children and work out where they're coming from, and the patience that I've been shown by all these people. It's just such a lovely environment. It's helped me grow personally a lot. It's helped me in my relationships with my family, and it's really great for the children because they get a really diverse group of people looking after them and a pool of resources, like people who've been overseas and have all these different skills and talents. It's a very talented group of people here, and it's just a privilege to work with them, and it's a real honour to work with the children because you get a lot more back from them than you give. You really do.